to Ara. So I have been playing this game in the background for the last couple of weeks, and they would not let us talk about the game until today, which honestly is crazy. I don't know what Xbox was smoking when they're like, let's wait till the day the game comes out, but the day before the game comes out to let them talk about it. Yeah, so absolutely zero freaking hype has been built up for this game. Let's get to it. Is the game good? Yes. Actually, Ara is objectively, I think, a very good game. Does Ara have problems? Fuck yes, it has problems. The balancing in this game, it needs a lot of work, okay? With all that said, though, I really like the game, but damn does it need it. I've basically, after about 10 hours, figured out how to completely cheese the game in a lot of ways. There are way too many exploits currently in the game, but let's get into the nitty-gritty. What does Ara Untold do correctly? First off, it comes into the genre with something new, something that I've never seen in another 4X game. And I used to play Civilization every day for Civilization 4 specifically every day for about 4 years. I'm really into this genre. What it does right is it comes into the game with an absolute shitload of content. Not only does it have 41 freaking leaders, each one of them has specialized stats which greatly influence your playstyle. I've personally am on like maybe my 5th or 6th campaign now, so for me the replayability factor is still quite high, even with the cheesening. But I will be doing a let's play on the hardest difficulty to see if I can, finally figure out how to challenge myself here. The second thing it does right is the game itself has a shitload of depth. And I'm going to come into a current Let's Play. I am making a guided Let's Play series called Perfect Start, where I go over every act, every age, and my strategy for dominating that age. So let me come into where I am in Act 3. This is Act 3. It is the furthest age. I am currently in the Atomic Age. Now, I don't want to alarm you, but you might shit yourself. And if you don't shit yourself, well, then this is your game, I guess. But the amount of crafting in this game is insane. Every turn I'm crafting around about 100 items, right? All between stuff. So let's go to my crafting menu. These are currently all my crafting buildings. My finger is already getting freaking tired. And there's a lot. And I can dial down on any of these. All of them making various goods. Most of them focusing on goods that make amenities. So I can make several items that I can combine to make more enhanced and greater amenities. All of these things giving a benefit to my city. So nobody's ever fucking done this, that to my knowledge, in a city builder. This is phenomenal. So people are saying, is the game worth it? I think it's fucking worth it. Personally, it's a lot of fun. Is it gonna like, is your dad gonna love you? Like, is it gonna change your life? No, it's not gonna do that. Video games can't do that. And he probably won't ever love you. But if you're way into detail, if you're way into headaches, it's great. And I will say at first it's overwhelming, but after about 20-30 hours, it all starts to make more sense, and it's not that big of a deal. But it is detailed, and every playthrough I go into, I learn something different. Here's a big tip for everybody. Indoor stoves, which can be made in the Crafters Union. Let me show you where this bad boy is. Up here in crafting, we have something called the Crafting Guild. And this is a crafting guild. These are some of the items you can make in the crafting guild. And there is an item you can make called the indoor stove. Now, stoves can be put in a dwelling for a +3 to city health. So buildings also can use these items along with your city, each having a corresponding value and benefit. Or you can put it in your city, and it gives +1 food fertility in all regions. Now, the way that this game calculates how how much resource you get in a given region is based off the initial stats. You can see here I have 4 apples, 2 apples, 2 apples. So if you look closer, claiming in this region will provide +2 food producing improvements placed in this region will produce extra food based on this yield. So This increases it, that indoor stove increases it from 3 to 4. So this is yielding like 56. It's not even a tier 3, and all of these can be upgraded within 3 tiers. And then, I have supplies up here like the heavy plow, fertilizer. If you watch my Let's Plays, I go into way more detail on this stuff. I could talk for about 40,000 hours on some of this stuff. But anyway, what I'm getting at is your ability to dial down, and somebody who knows how to play this game with 2 cities can take anybody who doesn't know how to play this game. This is a game where if you understand the mechanics, you can exploit them at absurd values. I originally, as I said, played the game and got my ass kicked, and then once I figured out what this fucking game wanted from me, I had just been kicking the shit out of it. It's just math, you know what I mean? So, let me see what people are asking, because I think I just got a headache. How's it going, everybody? Okay, no one's saying a peep. That's great. That's fantastic news. So, right now, in this era, I am in the process of creating fuel and other things which are used for advanced constructions. This is Ara. So there are 3 ages, and you can, at the current time, and they need to nerf this, the age doesn't start until the majority of factions reach a certain technological era. So I am like about in the future compared to everybody else because my scientific research is so high. I think they need to cap this. Like, I think they need to make it so you cannot advance technologically past a certain point per age. Because I got just way too ahead of everybody. That's one of the balancing issues. It's a pretty big balancing issue. Yeah, shoot, dude. It's a pretty damn cool game. There are a bajillion buildings. There's a lot of stuff to know. I have another guide coming out tomorrow. So there's something in the system for combat. So when you build a unit, it goes into your reserves. Say, hey, I don't like my neighbor, and I want to kill him. I want him to die. I want to burn his cities to the ground. How do I do that? May I ask? Well, you build units, okay? So down here on your unit tab, you can see I have battleships, bombers, cannons, fighters, footmen still. And as you progress, your base units will upgrade to the technologies of that time, yada yada. So I recruit somebody. Then they go into what is called the reserves tab. Now, there are formations in this game, and formations can lead to greater benefits as far as the power of that unit. And there is kind of a rock, paper, scissors kind of in the background thing going on when you're engaging with enemies. So having 3,000 power of, just men without shirts, their nipples glistening in the sun, isn't going to do well against someone of similar strength or less strength that has proper composition of forces, unless the glistening of the nipple blinds the unit. And I don't know if that is also in the background of the game, but I would like to think that it is. Anyway, so you get yourself a formation, and each of these formations have certain units, a certain amount of units that are necessary. And inside of those formations, there's something called tactics. And each of these tactics calls for specific formations. Here's a square formation, a land formation comprised of 2 melee cavalry units and 2 projectile units. So projectile units can be, I believe, anything with a musket, a bow, no glistening nipples. But if I do that, I get a 10% strength bonus on top of the bonus that I get for having an available formation. And each one of these, as you can see, has additional bonuses based upon the variety of units. And there's just a shitload of units in here. So, with that said, is the game detailed? Does the game do things that no other game has done before? Yes, yes, absolutely yes. The amount of content in this game is insane. I almost thought about not covering this game because it was too much fucking shit in this game. But I persevered. I learned how to play. I'm pretty decent. I'm probably at a good point relative to people who are just like covering this game because they want to make money off the views and don't know fucking shit about the mechanics. I played this game for 20 hours before I even filmed like my first Let's Play because I wanted to make sure. And I've picked up new strategies. The stove one being the big one. So sorry, I kind of went down the glistening nipple thing. Kind of really distracted me. Let me show you the indoor, what I mean, why the indoor stove is such a big deal. I'm going to take it away. I have negative 107 food here. That's fine. Now I have negative 288 food. Okay, so that thing increased the capacity of all my farms so substantially that it was producing hundreds of food. It's one of the only items that I've seen do that, which is pretty freaking crazy. For people like me who have issues, efficiency, like, I don't know, arousal, like this game will titillate you. It will evoke feelings that you never knew you had. It's really good. Another thing like to focus on is that your productivity is also a factor of happiness. So you can see here, my happiness is 52. If I get it up to 60, I'll get a plus 10 city production increase. So if I can get my happiness up, I can also increase the productivity of all these things. So there's this relationship between all of these things, and you can just really dial down. And the computer can't fucking keep up with me now that I know how to dial these things in. So the AI kind of sucks. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm gonna have to play on the hardest difficulty next, because right now I'm playing on Prince, which is like 2 levels above normal, because I was working on my guide and I wanted people to be able to follow. And most people don't play on the hardest difficulty, and I would die on the hardest difficulty my first time playing this. So I wanted to make something useful for people, right? But I am currently, if you hit 35,000, it triggers the end of the game in Prestige. So I'm at 26,905 on a pretty hard difficulty, and I've pretty much, like, the lowest person has 6,000. So yeah, you can see my population's giving me plus 20 Prestige. My technologies, 30 production capabilities plus 50. So I've kind of min-maxed to a point where I am producing an ungodly amount of prestige. So a lot of balancing needs to happen. But like, let's look at the bigger picture. Do the mechanics exist for this game to be good? Absolutely. But is it balanced? I don't think so. I think it needs a lot of work, honestly. Yes. I should have named this Does Ara. The reason I say the glistening nipple joke is because of like the there's just a lot of glistening. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm trying to like rationally the more I try to rationally explain it, the crazier I sound in my head. So I'm just not gonna say anything. But then that is in fact just as crazy as what I was gonna say. I'm in this like paradox where no matter what I say, I just sound like a fucking lunatic. And I'm gonna accept who I am. So there we go. Anybody have any questions on the game? I'm gonna keep going off on stuff, but go ahead and feel free to throw in chat anything. There's no dumb question. I will answer anything. Karam, give me a little bit of background on what you're hoping to get out of this game, and I will be able to tell you whether or not I think it is worth it for you. But yes, it's great. I mean, I got the game for free, so like, fuck me, right? It does need some work. It does need some work. And anyone who tells you otherwise is a fucking asshole. Like, on it, I'm so tired of YouTubers just shilling out. It's a good game, but fuck, dude. It is so easy to cheese right now. Any other glistening? No, just nipples. You can only effectively have one glistening body part because, you know, like, it gets distracting if there's multiples. One of the... So let me talk. People ask questions about the game mechanics, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. So let me tell you guys about the amenity system. So the amenity system is something that comes into play as your city grows. You can have more and more slots, which can increase quality of life. Now, your quality of life will decrease as your city grows, more and more demands. So you get to a point where this is incredibly critical to how you do things. Now, a lot of these amenities are crafted in buildings. So you'll see I'm getting things like grapes. I'm getting things like wool here. And those can be used in place of money to accelerate production. One thing I'm seeing over here, so this is coffee. So there is a faction leader which doubles the yield of coffee as one of his benefits. And it's like, honestly, I'm confused because there's like a few buildings that use maybe 1 or 2 coffee for accelerant. So like, I don't know what value there is having 50 of something you're not using. So I probably would shy away from that faction leader. They need to rethink that. Or I have a fundamental misunderstanding of the game mechanics and coffee is more powerful than my current understanding. But I haven't seen it. So I'm trying to make sense. It'd be like... It would be like the situation with the glistening nipples. It's like, you only need so much lube, right? So whether I have 1,000,000 pounds or 2 billion pounds, like it's more than I can physically use. So it's like a faction leader which promotes that makes absolutely no sense to me. Oh, you like Songs of Six, eh? Yeah, I love Songs of Six. I made a few guides on it. No one watches that, but I love that game. Songs of Six, hands down, best game. Like, I would rather play Songs of Six than this game, if that's the question. If that's what you're asking. I think Songs of Six is probably one of the best games ever made. That's a good one. I love Songs of Six. You triggered me. EU4 I never really got into. It's an expensive game, isn't it? Don't you guys think? Like $60 for an unknown. But here's the kicker. It is going to be available on Game Pass tomorrow. And Game Pass you can get for $10. So I would advise people get Game Pass and then cancel it. Play the game for $10 and then decide if you think it's worth purchasing. I mean, like, shit, dude. All right. It's not. Like, because you can play it to your heart's content on Game Pass and, you know, wait for a sale when it's going to be half off in 3 months, and like you're going to be, you know, a net $20 up. So if it blows your mind and you're still playing it in 30 days, then you already know that it's worth it. But if it doesn't blow your mind, you're at $10. And there's lots of other games on Game Pass too. I think Frostpunk 2 is also on Game Pass right now. Personally, I didn't like Frostpunk 2, though. I found it to be fucking boring. But a lot of people like it. The artwork in Frostpunk 2 is amazing. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that Game Pass, outside of just this game, does have quite a few other titles. So, based off of your selection, I would recommend, if you like what you see, get a Game Pass. I don't know. Is it as immersive as Farthest Frontier? I'm having fun with it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think the replayability is there. However, I need to, before I could really give a good answer on replayability, there are 2 things I'd have to think about. One is that it is multiplayer PvP. So if you're into multiplayer PvP, I think you'll have a lot of fun with this game. A lot of fun with this game because it brings back the death stacks. So while these units right here are individual, I drafted them as individual stacks. Once you throw them in together, you only have to click on it once to move the whole stack. And I can separate the stack at any point by clicking individually on them. So that's a really cool feature, is that I don't have to like group highlight all the time. It just like knows that I put these things into a death stack. So you can mob all your forces. Now you are limited by land force caps, naval caps, and air force caps. But yeah, the price is pretty hard to swallow. You know, I'm not getting paid, so I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. It kind of irks me that nobody can give honest answers, because everybody's like afraid that they won't get CD keys if they tell the truth. But I don't think Ara is a bad game. I think it's a great game. But I'm not gonna bullshit you. Like, it needs an immense amount of balancing. It's way too easy to cheese once you know what you're doing. It offers a very difficult initial challenge, mainly because of how unaware you are of certain features. The biggest feature in this game is just clicking on, is like, when I first started playing, I was like, okay, I gotta I got to come into this farm, and it's like I got to upgrade all these things. I got to see if I'm an expert. And I was just like kind of winging it, and I was a moron. Like you can just click on your city over here. You have your zone tabs. You go to your improvements. You can, so not only can I build new buildings, see what buildings are in those zones, because certain things like the granary can accelerate farms, like it can increase production. So you want to have like your windmill in a farming area, so you can easily line things up simply by looking at your regions tab. But the big one is improvements. So there's the improvement tab. I can control everything. So I can mass upgrade. I can put indoor stoves in my residence. So each one of these things is increasing the stats over here. These are the houses. So you see I can put like clocks, refrigerators. As I upgrade them, more and more amenities become available. And I can go down the line. And then also you get things called experts. And experts offer unique bonuses wherever you put them. And you get a limited amount. But you start to get a shitload as your city goes up. But you can also see like what they do here. So you can go through your entire city. Like say, oh wow, this will give me +5 city craft production if I put it in the sawmill, and it will increase the harvest production by 150%. It's like that's a good thing to do. Or you'll come down to something like a wonder, like I have here. Some wonders have insane abilities. This is not the droid we're looking for. Okay, wait, where the freak is it? I have a wonder. And it was giving me like plus, okay, we have to, right here, the mines of whatever the hell that is, +10 harvest production per dude I put in there, up to +30. So if I had a bunch of stone mines, I'd be getting a 30% stone increase. Right now I have a lot of stone mines, so I'm not really feeling it. And over here, I need to start, so I just put a 100% craft production bonus industrial tool. So I've been making I came to this area, I made industrial tools. That's giving me 100% craft production. You can see here I have oil, so I can pay 25 wealth or use the oil mine that I have to increase the production of fuel by 1,000%. Over here I can say, okay, I want to do 5 timber. If I had coal, I can negate wealth and timber costs. So every single craftable item in this game has a corresponding input that can reduce wealth. So if you don't want to think about any of that, you could focus on a wealth creation economy, though 1,000% and not having to pay 25 gold a turn for something that I can produce for 0 cost almost. It's like maybe like a wood a day. And every single thing in the game has a mechanic of that magnitude. Like, it'll come over here. See, over here I'm using food oil, which I'm getting from fish. So over here I have my fishies. And my fishies, I can select, sorry, that fish is just fish and tallow. Where's the oil? There's a few. I was making syrup somewhere. Over here. Okay. So I have spices coming out of this guy. I have elephants, and I have vanilla. Yeah, so there's a vanilla resource, and you can either extract food oils from it or the vanilla itself, depending upon what industries you need more material in. I mean, it's not like a Farthest Frontier city builder. It's you do build cities, but it's different. you select, you have zones. All right. But yes, so it gets detailed. I mean, I have a perfect start let's play coming out tomorrow. That's 3 hours on Act 1. And then my Act 2 let's play is 6 hours long, where I go over all the strategies I use to min-max everything. So, yeah, I'm already at 9 hours on my detailed let's play. And the third act, which is going to start with what you're seeing here, is going to be pretty insane. This takes a lot of work to do. Right now, I'm building tractors, and that took an enormous amount of work to do. I had to get like a bunch of steel. I had to refocus my industries into producing steel and, optimize them to produce as much steel as possible. But the artwork and graphics are amazing in this game. Everything everything upgrades with the times. So you start from caveman all the way to, future technologies, and everything upgrades with it. All the visuals, all the houses, every single building in the game has multiple art, which is really impressive. So they put a lot of money and time into this game, and they barely advertised it, so it's kind of weird. But I would say that no game I've ever played has this level of content. This is not an early access game, but it's really easy to cheese. Very easy. Are there any other questions that people have? Look at that. We got a balloon. We got a balloon over here. If you're into balloons, you will love this game. I don't know if it's worth $60 to launch this balloon, but it might be. For one man out there, this is the deciding factor. But yeah, you can see that the details are quite impressive. This is a well. So you can see I have all my farms in a region with a well. And this well is giving 100% harvest production to farms and their upgrades in this region. So accelerated production. Over here, I haven't upgraded. So I've been making fertilizers. Fertilizers give a 200% harvest bonus. And it doesn't. You know, it says everything is kind of, I believe, based off the original value. It's not 200% on compounding. So that's unfortunate, but this tractor over here is going to give me 300% harvest production, and I'm expecting a healthy pull. But I'm limited. Here I'm limited because I haven't upgraded this. So if I upgrade this to an industrial farm, it's going to be like 100. And then if I put a tractor in there, it's going to be like, oh man, it's going to be through the roof. So, but yeah, you decide, you build districts. You build districts. I don't know. I don't know that you... It's like Anno in the respect that there's an enormous amount of crafting. But it's not like Anno in the aspect that you're not individually placing buildings. You build regions. I mean, there's a lot of thinking. There's a lot of clumping. It's more like a really big city building board game. So... I would say no. No, I don't know if you would enjoy this if you're a fan of Anno, Farthest Frontier, and Banished. I'm a fan of those games, and I enjoy this though. So, but I would probably try it out on Game Pass before buying it, because $60 is a lot of money to pay for something that you may not enjoy. If you're a fan of city builders, I think the main concern for me right now is that oh man, I have negative 754 food. Eureka is going nuclear. Oh man. Okay, so I got the city up to 30 pop, which is actually really impressive. Every time you get a city up, it gets really difficult. Really difficult. So it went from like it takes like another 5. It's a lot. It takes like 5. It takes more food than I'm producing in my entire nation now every time I level up. So I'm like forced to do these things. But if you like efficiency, if you like dialing things in, I think you'll like it. It would probably not scratch the same itch though as the city builder. Yeah, Game Pass, man. But yeah, I'm doing pretty decent in this region that I have set up. Right now I'm at a bottleneck because I need a lot of metal tools, and I'm producing probably something like 20 metal tools like every second, every turn, and it's not always enough. But I got piggies. It has pigs. Feel like pigs. But you can see what's cool about this is when you have a resource, you can select, like I can make tallow instead, and there's certain buildings which like that. What's kind of concerning to me is that the plow, this is a farm building. Plow and fertilizer increase the productivity of the pig. Same along with all the other stuff like tractors. So I don't know if the pigs are going on tractor rides or how they factor in how the fuck that works, but I just go with it. So the war part of the game is a little, I don't know. That's why I want to play in the hardest difficulty, because you can see down here we have a roaming warband. So every act for like the lowest tier cities are destroyed, and in their place are all of their military people. So you have these roving gangs. So down here we have a bunch of samurais. The combat is kind of like who has the biggest points and the best composition of armies. I don't know enough about the combat system outside of like what little I do, have experienced, and so I don't know if I like the combat system. I haven't. I've been shying away from it because there's really no reward. Like, there's not. I'm better off just like focusing on my economy than I am on war. The only time I go to war is if someone pisses me off and attacks me, and then I just feel like burning their cities down. But yeah, the combat system in this game isn't really as big of a part. I don't even think it has nukes. I'm just building a random thing. There are no nukes. I mean, I've gotten all the way to the end. Maybe there are nukes and I'm just not aware of it, but I have not encountered nukes.
Enterprising young.
All right, but there's lots of events. There's lots of stuff. There's lots of units. It's an interesting game. But I can let me show you the war part of the game, because I'm sure that's what a lot of people want to know. So the war part of the game it's kind of like watching like two fat guys in a parking lot slap each other. It's not, I mean, it's like, it's entertaining, but it's not gonna like blow your mind. It's definitely, I think it's like the animations are really cool, but you're not doing anything. Like you're just kind of watching it. But dude, the detail in this game is crazy. Like you can zoom in and see everybody, and you see like I have my army here. And in the other Civ games, it's just like two dudes fighting. So all right, we're just gonna do this. I'm just trying to get to the combat part of this so I can show you guys. Okay. All right. So this is combat. So you can see we're going to take out half their health. I'm vastly superior. I have ranged, infantry, anti-cav. They have cav units and infantry. So I'm set up to do pretty well. If I click here, the Battle UFA, I can see the composition of everything. All right. And then if I hit this, I can watch the battle. And so I don't have any control. This is pure masturbation here, but it's really cool. It's very appealing. It's probably a little bit more exciting than watching two fat guys slap each other in a parking lot, but in the context of what your involvement is, it's pretty much the same. You're just watching. And so nothing was influenced. So it is kind of like rock, paper, scissors in that regard. And you may or may not like that. You may or may not like that. And, you know, cities, you can build walls and you can there's an enormous amount of combat improvements, like a lot of castles and let me see. We can dial down on some of this. So there's a lot of military buildings. Air Force Base, ooh, I can build my airport now if I start. Yeah, so I can get an airport up. And airport's really good. If you put an expert in an airport, you get additional city prosperity. So if you're having issues with prosperity, you can really get it up once you get the airport. A lot of buildings will allow you to get those things up. But, yeah. I already got the wall. I already got, like, the castle here. And I got a lot of things. I mean, this guy's making belts. There's an enormous amount of crafting buildings. I would lose my voice trying to go through all of them. So the game has an immense amount of depth. It's a little weird the way that the game industry does things. They do a lot of internal controls. Like, they have a lot of play testing. But honestly, they need to come to people like myself and others who, like, spend their free time learning how to exploit systems. Because I didn't even know the fucking game existed until, like, a couple months ago. And based off of just, like, my 10 to 20 hours, there's a shitload of things that I could suggest they do to make the game a little bit more balanced. And it's kind of disappointing that it's really obvious. Like, some of the imbalances are very obvious, and it's disappointing But that's just it. It's just like people can play test the game, but that's like dissecting a game mechanic is a special set of skills, and it requires you to have like a lot of disorders, like not good ones. And I'm not knocking on like most gamers. I'm just saying like they need to put this shit in front of people who are good, good at dissecting systems. Because it's just like you can give this to 500 people, but they're not gonna dissect it very well. They're not gonna look for exploits, and there are people way better than me. Not tooting my own horn. I'm just saying like I don't think that they put this in front of the right people to test mechanically, because I found some. For instance, I'm like 2 technologies ahead of everybody. My knowledge in my capital is negative 50%. This is fucking idiocracy level of education here, and I am the most technologically advanced society on this planet simply because there are certain mechanics I've taken advantage of. That's it. It's like I have. Okay, I'll show you what I did. Where's my paragons? All right, so I had a paragon which I changed, which was giving me plus 10 knowledge, like per city, but it's like I think it's persisting in the background even though my knowledge was near 0. So like I was just getting, and then I have science agreements with all of these nations. So you know, my civilians can't even fucking put a hot dog together, but for some reason, like I have aircraft and no one in the world does. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, so yeah, the game has balancing issues, man. Air Force hot dogs. That sounds like a good brand though. Yeah, basically North Korea. Yeah. Like in my country, like we have airplanes, but like they bomb people with hot dogs and coupons for free hot dogs. We're just a fucking weird ass society. But no, that goes into just how the balance of this game needs work. So let's go to the main screen so I can kind of show you when you're starting a new game what you're looking at. Now, we could pick a lot of people. There's one. This is the one that pisses off a lot of people I've seen on the forums. I guess she was a bitch. But there are a lot of interesting ones. A lot of interesting leaders. I'm very professional. That's my technical opinion is that she is a bitch. That is why people don't like her. I have no idea why people don't like her. I guess she was mean. I guess she did some really bad things. I'm sorry, I didn't never study anything about Argentina. I know shit about Argentina. But there are some like Mexico, for instance, is probably one of the most imbalanced in the game. It's the one I did my Let's Play on. He starts off with an additional expert from the start. Now you typically don't get your first expert till you're like level 5 or 6 city. So having the ability to like substantially increase production, especially in crafting early game amenities, and for every city you have this, is absurdly powerful. It's broken. And then you get on top of that plus 20% craft production. So one of these you can get 150% craft production off the bat, and then you're getting an additional 20%. So you're looking at cities that can produce things. Each city that you have is producing at 3 times its value for like, and that's an advantage that you have for like the first 50 turns. Yeah, crazy. Crazy. Imagine if I told you in the first, between the ages of 20 and 30, you were going to make 300% more than everybody else. Be like, yeah, that might be an unfair advantage in the long run compared to other people. And then plus 5 duration of golden ages. Your prestige is just going to be off the charts. And then they reward you for not going to war with plus 10 happiness, plus 10 prosperity, plus 1 housing in non-capital cities. This is okay. And then you have good favor with tribes. It's like really, really broken relative to some of the other people. I'm trying to find the one that I hate the most. It's the dude that gives coffee. Where's the coffee guy? There's this guy, and his like thing is that he gets a lot of coffee, and you can use coffee in the university, and it's like 1 per. But without that perk, just 1 cocoa is making 13 per turn. So I would need to have more than 13 cities to even need an additional cocoa source, let alone 200% production into cocoa. It it would be like, yeah. I mean, I could come up with an analogy, and maybe I will. It's like, imagine if I gave you 1,000 Twinkies, and like you can't even fucking eat 1,000 Twinkies, and I'm like, what if I gave you 1,000,000? If I gave you 200% more Twinkies, like what the fuck am I gonna do with all those Twinkies? That's basically what this guy is. Where the fuck is he? Oh man, there's a lot of good ones. The Kush Nation, which is the stoners, the stoner nation. She's really strong. Plus 20% strength to your forces within your capital. This is cool. Plus 10 knowledge. Increased duration of golden ages. And plus 20% prestige from building wonders, which are called triumphs in this game. And her range units get 50% force strength. So, if you want to go a combat route, like this is really, really powerful, especially because of the advancements to technology, meaning you're going to have the best units, and the increase in force strength. Technology and force strength is a very powerful combination. Hold my beer, yeah.
Nicholas Copernicus, brilliant mathematician and astronomer.
That's pretty good. He's pretty good, actually. I won't go into it. Julius Caesar's way broken for... Okay, so Julius Caesar's way broken for combat builds. His forces gain 50% bonus strength when they level up from combat. 50% bonus strength. And plus 15 happiness and 20 prosperity in the capital for 15 turns after winning a war. So, like, you basically you're built on just beating the shit out of people. And then when they're not at war, they get a bonus. So like they do well no matter what. But the thing is they get negative 15 prosperity in your capital. Now prosperity is not money. Prosperity is that little metric of happiness which determines how much taxes are there. Wealth is the proper name for money. So like be really wise about making that distinction that this like negative 15 plus 15 prosperity is not plus 15 gold. Wealth is what produces money. Oh man, I can't find him. I want to find the Cocoa Man. Where the fuck is Willy Wonka? Oh, it's this dude. Is it this dude? No.
Emperor of Ethiopia and first
oh yeah, it is this dude.
Organization of African Unity.
Okay, this is the stupidest faction there is. He gets 300 harvest production for coffee. Okay, it's not cocoa, it's coffee. Sorry. But coffee, I was actually talking about coffee and I kept calling it cocoa. So I was talking about the right thing, but I'm crazy. So I had 3 coffee resources and I was producing something like 30 coffee per turn. And I was using 2 or 3 of them. You can use them in universities and advanced. So you can use them in your advanced knowledge centers to increase productivity. But you're never going to need more than a couple. So it's just really weird. It's just a really weird thing. Now the 25 religion spread strength in your capital is very useful. Plus 5 strength is great. 50 production towards government military improvements is pretty sweet. 20% strength of forces within your capital is good for a defensive posture. 10 knowledge is great. 15% religion spread strength in all cities. So if you want to spread your religion, have a strong core with a good technological backup, and it's mostly religion and that, but 300% harvest production towards coffee is fucking crazy. It's like, that's so worthless. I don't know if I got the deluxe edition. I would assume so, because I got the key. And I think people said that Charlemagne was only available in the deluxe edition, and I have Charlemagne. He's right here.
Charlemagne, warrior king who laid the foundations
Man,
for the Holy
I got the
Roman
gold
Empire.
armor set. Yeah, look at him go. 25 city knowledge in your capital during golden ages. 100% masterpiece creation speed in your capital during golden ages. Your palace provides plus 5 wealth and plus 1 research per turn during golden ages. 50, blah 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 blah. 20%, 20 crafting in all cities. Fight. He's pretty sweet. If I were to play anybody though, I still think Mexico is, because of getting that expert in the very beginning, so broken. It's so broken. Unbelievably broken.
Tamar the Great, first woman to rule Georgia, ushering in its
Georgia's not
golden
too.
age.
It's one of the most broken ones there is though. I think the one I was
George
most
Washington
upset about was
defeated British Army
George
and was
Washington,
elected first
because
president of the United States.
he gets negative 50% turn duration for golden ages, and that really sucks. But he does get, some good stuff. +1 housing, 20 strength forces and capital. His big thing is he gets more wood and their upgrades. I don't know. I don't know. Like +1 timber from logging camps. I think that's +1 timber production. So it's like you get a lot of wood, but he's just really not that impressive. Yeah, I know. I've heard people saying on my comments that Charlemagne might be one of them.
Queen Mother in the Ashanti
Okay.
Empire,
Anyway, so
led
let's
war against the British.
let's pick this dude,
Haile
right? The guy I don't
Selassie,
like. I'm gonna give him
Emperor of
the tunic.
Ethiopia and first
But there's a
chairman
lot of
the
map types.
Organization of African Unity.
You can generate new maps just randomly. You can customize the nations. You can customize their traits. You can customize everything. And geez Louise, how do I get back? Okay. Some of the preset maps are pretty sweet. There's a heat wave, much less rainfall, tropical, Great Lakes. There's one with 2 continents. It's definitely different from Civilization, which I feel is a lot more aggressive. This game isn't really that aggressive. It's more about how well can you run your city, and you're judged because every turn you generate prestige points. So there's like no. It's just it's a constant challenge to do better and better and better, and have good cities. So it's different. I do have Let's Plays posted on my channel, so if you're bored, you can watch those. I will warn you, there are no glistening nipples though. There's exactly 0 nipples of glistening. So it may not give you everything you want. But all right, well I think that's where we're probably going to end this stream, but I wanted to kind of answer anybody's questions, and yeah, Starbucks Corporation. Wanted to answer anybody's questions and just kind of give an honest review of the game that, it's good, but it needs work. It needs a lot of balancing. And I don't know if Xbox is going to kill me for saying that, but if I stop making videos, I have been murdered. So anyway, everyone have a great. That was a joke for. It was a joke for YouTube. Don't censor me. Everybody have a great day.